Welcome to Find 40. This is a journey to uncover Black excellence in San Diego, and the journey is continuing today with this conversation with my friend and self-described middle-class Black pastor, Nate Byrd. We cover a lot of territory, wrestling with race and belonging, being a Black nerd that likes the outdoors. You'll hear a discussion about his experience in Army tanks and with Army chaplains, going to seminary, being up close to poverty in Chiapas, translating Second Corinthians, finding his life in Scripture, and then connecting that to the Black experience in its current context. It is engaging and my pleasure to introduce you to Nathan Byrd.
So, I mean, a lot of people were moved by the article, but mostly my mom was elated that I came out of her womb. And so, yeah, 2 trolls on Twitter, just 2 trolls. I didn't engage them. One I wanted to, because one dude said, "Who lit the fire? Who lights the fires?" And I wanted to say, well, I talk about biblical fires. I believe God does, and we're following in the pattern of God. But I didn't go there. I just let him go. And then the other dude said, liberals are always trying to foster this thing about racial division. And he didn't even have a picture, man. So I just kept scrolling. The liberals, whatever that means, bring racial division and slavery. They bring it in segregation, Jim Crow, civil rights movement. When people were pulling on my mom's hood as she protested in the soda shop at the counter in Walgreens. I mean, that's a really weak thing to say for a no picture man on Twitter. So the article, what I tried to do is bring a historical perspective, without naming hot buttons. Like, I don't think I say Black Lives Matter in there. I don't think I say anything about Brother George Floyd.
No, but look. Okay, so here, let me step back just for a second. So,
okay. Oh, you got an agenda. All right, my man.
I do have an agenda. So I am on a mission to capture what I, super myopically, perhaps there's bias, I'm sure. This is coming through the lens of Matthew Mitchell at some level, but what I estimate to look like Black excellence and just big it up, lift it. In San Diego in particular, and maybe it has other contexts and lanes to it eventually, but right now, for where I'm at in this space, I want to be able to say, look over here. Look at some of this. We see a lot of this. Look at some of this. Which isn't to ignore that. That's real. Right. Like, I feel like in the name of balance or equity or something, I'm just personally convicted to highlight Black excellence. That's one. Specific, even more than that, is this idea around Black male excellence. And then to get even more granular, I'm looking to highlight areas of either the arts and creativity, education, wellness, which I include like faith and science and biotech type stuff, and civic stuff like politics and economics. These are the areas where I'm pulling from. Again, probably just because of my own flipping interest, but there you go. And one of the major goals then is to, in doing that, give or plant little seeds for other folk to follow in and see, oh, if that person came to those conclusions, or that person took that path, or this is what was driving, this Me Too thing, like where you go, oh, okay, yeah, I see me in that, and it's inspiring. The whole point is to be inspired. So with you, my friend, my goodness, there's so much like fodder for that. I feel like you have like wisdom and experience that people can build from. And I think that the article entitled "I'm So Tired of White Guilt"
Right, and I need the title was "The Fire This Time,"
Mm.
and the editors, Jewish publication
Mm-hmm.
that goes back to the 1800s.
Yeah.
That's they chose that title. They getting that clickbait.
That's that clickbait. That's that clickbait. And
But I didn't fight it, man, because it was a Friday morning. Friday morning, like today, I got 4 online meetings. They stacked up. I just say, yeah, do what you need to do. And I thought the lady was attractive, but anyway.
look at you. I think though that actually was effective. If you're actually trying to
Oh, absolutely.
open it
That's
up,
why she's the editor, and that's why I'm just a preacher.
yeah, no, I liked it though, because it's a little different, to draw the eye and look, people are familiar with Baldwin and the fire next time, and I think, that maybe they will assume they got that, knew that old story, don't tell me more, and then you come, this was a little more salient for the moment. I could imagine people being interested in, okay, go check it out. But, so again, just framing our chat and our moment right here, because you and I can riff on for days about a million different things. If I was trying to capture your journey that has brought you to this moment, writing this piece that your mama says you could step into a Baptist, pulpit and speak on. And I just watched that Otis Moss commentary on the cross and the lynching tree, which was speaking back into me in the same way that you've spoken into me around what Black folks have done with Christianity. It's not just like some white man's religion thing. It's a whole other thing happening there. I watched your commentary on Pentecost. I watched your Pentecost service. I'm conscious of us being in that period, and all of these themes of what we do with the Spirit of the living God, with the Holy Ghost, with fire. It's just, I'm like, woo! It's I'm in it, man, and I'm blessed and grateful for your presence in my life.
Can I share 2 pieces of context?
Yes.
All right. So that article. So I think it was Thursday. It seemed like every white man in the free world wanted to call me that day. Wow. And I had reached the breaking point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, and one dude talked to me for an hour, and at the end of the hour, he said, "Can you watch a video? I'm thinking about showing my congregation. I like your input." But he didn't just do that. He said, "How are you, Nathan?" Yeah. Like, I never talked to the guy. Big RB guy, Rancho Bernardo guy, big church campus. Yeah. Okay, I'm fine. Here's what I'm going through.
Yeah. It wasn't Jared. Was it Jared? It wasn't Jared, was it?
No. Okay. It's one of my denomination. Yeah. So that dude, right? I think the conversation's done. Hey, man, I'm going through a divorce. I got the kid. I'm a single dad. Man, here, boom. Special needs kid. Graduated high school yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that post. I saw that post.
So, all that takes work, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm done with the dude. Then the dude writes me at night on Facebook Messenger saying, you laid out a lot of stuff. You're carrying a lot. I can't let it go. We should talk.
Yeah.
And it's just weird. It's weird, man. I'm like going to bed, like 9, 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, okay, let's talk. He talks to me for an hour and says, by the way, look at this video. Mm-hmm. The front and the back of the video say, hey, if you want to hear about racism, go to Miles McPherson's site and look at his talk on blah, 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 blah. And then he talks about how he used to date Black women. He played sports around Black people all the time. But I just felt manipulated, man. Mm-hmm. And I'm just tired of it. And so I told the lady at the forward, when she saw the TV piece, she said, write an article. I said, no, I got too much going on. But then after that Thursday, and everybody's calling me, emailing me, oh, are you okay? How you doing? I said, look, I'm going to write the article. So that's the immediate context. There's more context, but I'll let you respond to that one.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I have been kind of participating in both spaces, as you know I do. And, how we find middle ground or don't, or how we individually respond to these moments, I wrestle with a lot. I'm conscious of, in the article, you kind of address 2 things. One is, y'all need to stop knocking on my door. You're not nearly invested enough to get it. and I'm tired of trying to break it down for you.
I'm glad that came through.
But that was the top line. That to me was straightforward. The other piece though was this wrestling with your own sense of belonging though. So these twin moments of like, okay, I'm like a stranger in a strange land feeling, and then nah, there's other feeling, I'm not even trying to find the middle ground at the moment or whatever. Y'all, I can't even talk to you about this at the moment. That's that funny paradox. That's that funny in between space that I get. It's real. Both of those things exist, and are real. But I also echo what your mom was saying around. I really feel the strength of the position and your voice and your own kind of like agency. And man, here's what this is what's happening for me. The authenticity of it, and kind of innate authority of it feels really grounded and true. I looked up kind of the Fire Next Time, and there's a Negro spiritual that goes, God gave Noah the rainbow sign, no more water, the fire next time. Woo! God gave Noah the rainbow sign, no more water, the fire next time. Like this.
I should have put that in there. Yeah, that's nice.
Ooh, man, it's
I mean, I read the book in 5th grade, man. Trying to find that identity, I was in 5th grade in a majority white school, trying to find, trying to figure things out. I don't know how I possibly wrote a book report in 5th grade on that book, but I did.
Oh my goodness. So tell me. Okay, so let me ask you. So how did you? Well, okay, let's start here. What are you doing in San Diego right now? Just for people that don't know you, I'm going to do like a little preamble before we like hit to the part of us required.
I forgot we're recording. So I came to San Diego specifically to pastor Christ United Presbyterian Church. Mm-hmm. And at the time that I applied, I was underemployed in Santa Barbara, mm-hmm. which is very expensive. And I worked at a dog shelter, and I had my Army Reserve duty, and that's how I paid bills. Mm-hmm. And I have a niche. I serve middle-class Black churches, and there's one here, and I serve it. And this is it was a good fit.
What year was that?
2012. It's a good fit because my mom went to school with a lot of people in the congregation at Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm of that ilk. Now, I didn't do Jack and Jill and stuff, but I'm that generation. I'm the majority of my congregation's kid. And there's people, the guy, and I might have told you this, but for the listeners, the guy who carried my mom's trunk from the train station is in my congregation, her first day of college, late 50s. So it's a good fit culturally, socioeconomically. And my narrative matches the narrative of their kids, because they, that generation thought, hey, if we go to the white suburban school, our kids will have a better chance. That was the thing, but no one talked about identity then. And so we're trying to find it in books like The Fire Next Time. My parents giving me books on Black history to read, and my dad sitting me down, okay, son, at school they're teaching you about the melting pot. Oh, this is a salad. So getting that double education was part of my upbringing, as in my elementary years, majority of my friends were white. And then by the time I got to high school, the town had suffered enough white flight, literally, that my high school was probably majority Black. By the time I got to high school, the town had changed. So my language forming years were majority white. And then, and then I went to a majority white college that had 3% Black, University of Delaware. And then went in the Army, and then I went to seminary.
Now, what was the God moment? What drove that? Why God? Why? How did that happen for you?
Why God or why Army?
No, why God? Well, or why Army? We can start there. Which one feels more alive?
So my dad, when he was an undergraduate, he did Army ROTC. And so the idea was planted in my head, and I just thought it was neat. And I hung around with a bunch of guys who just wanted to go military. If they went to college, they were going to go officer. If they were not going to college, they were going to enlist. And so we were just a bunch of mostly black nerds who wanted to be police or army. And I was in that crowd. There was one white guy, but his speech patterns were so black. People would always be confused. My grandmother couldn't believe it. So, yeah, that's why Army. And then I joined ROTC in college, and then I just got into it. I mean, I'm really into things military. I like working outdoors. I think the culture has a lot of neat things about it, for lack of a better word.
So you did 20 years?
God.
How many years?
Well, my first stint was 4 years active, but then the rest was reserve. I retired from the reserve in 2013. So, and I had a break in service, what they call a break in service. So after active duty, I had a 6-year break in service. For those who are keeping count at home. But in the Army, on active duty as a tank officer, I hung around. I spent a lot of my free time hanging out with chaplains, and they would give me.
Why?
Well, okay. My last day of college, undergrad, I fell in love with a woman, and she was going off to Florida, and I was going off to Maryland to be a beach bum. And she became a Christian. And so I said, okay, I'll become a Christian. So looking for answers, I hung around Army chaplains, and I befriended them. They gave me books to read. They gave me leadership roles in the military chapel. So then when it came time to leave the Army, I went to seminary because I had so many questions I wanted to dig into.
Wow.
I mean, when they would give me books to read, it was intense. It wasn't like 10 ways to pray through a crisis. I mean, it was like Calvin and Augustine, and I mean, it was. I mean, they weren't playing, man. Reformed tradition stuff, hardcore, and I ate it up because it was intellectually satisfying. And then I went to seminary. I went to 2 different seminaries. The first one, it was too conservative. I left, and then I went to one. I found a great home, and really taught me how to think through the lens of faith. And so that's the faith piece. And then during my seminary career, they sent me to Latin America, and people always correct me. We visited the poorest of the poor, and that really affected me.
Where were you?
Went to Mexico, Chiapas, Mexico, and Guatemala, on the border between Mexico and Guatemala, and hung out with refugees there. Lived in shanty towns outside of Mexico City. Stayed. And then I came back to seminary, and I was translating 2 Corinthians from the Greek to the English. And when you're translating, it forces you to slow down. I hit this text. Out of their poverty, they gave abundantly. And all of a sudden, it was in the afternoon, the way the light was coming in, I could see my Latin American experience in the text. And I thought, it just dawned on me that my role in life is to take this ancient book called the Bible and make it plain for people today. So at the same time I'm experiencing that conviction, I'm being exposed to, hey, there's more than one way to see this faith. Al Raboteau at Princeton University across the street from Princeton Seminary, his writings about his book, Slave Religion, and Cornel West was on campus at the time across the street. And so I'm appreciating things that my grandmother might have said. I'm appreciating, having come from hanging out with Army chaplains, like, this is what this means in scripture. This is how we interpret it. This is correct doctrine, to, whoa, we can do the smorgasbord thing. So that's in a nutshell, that's a journey. but I wouldn't say I was able to articulate until now. It's just random thoughts, and then now I can succinctly say what I want to say. Yeah, but it took a long time.
So what is it you want to say? tell me what, huh?
That what has been put to me as white evangelicalism as the way to live out Christianity is often a cover to hide racism. And that way of approaching the faith is not the only way. There are more life-giving ways of understanding the Christian tradition. And I now have enough examples from my own life and history that I can make a case, make cases.
Wow. So then, and it's funny, this whole idea about fire, and we can get all biblical about what was going on there and people being sent out and all this and the Spirit of God. And I, in you, feel that. It's funny, and we've been in this regular conversation here for a little while, and I know you're approaching, you're within striking distance of retirement from church leadership, which maybe even adds some momentum to it, but I can feel this kind of clarity.
I also feel cheated. I spent all these years trying to live up to a particular understanding of Scripture and the faith, and I just feel as though I wasted time. I feel as though I was cheated. That okay, I have to buy into this, even though these experiences are happening to me. A great case, they don't match up evenly, but walking down the street in Piedmont, California, votes liberal all the time. Black Lives Matter signs on people's yard. But I'm walking by a school, and I told you this, the kids, hey, is that a robber? Is he a robber? So if a faith doesn't address those kinds of incidents, I mean, I could live without it, live with it, live without it. Or to quote the Reverend Dr. J. Lee Hill, I still have to wake up in this black skin. And it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm black. Oh, no, but I'm going to have certain interactions. I want a faith that speaks to that. And the humbling thing is that I'm building a mixed congregation. So basically what I do is black theology without calling it black theology. And it's a powerful way to go, because it's not divisive and it's empowering to God's people of all sorts.
Ooh, so now you're in new territory. So, So, and no.
By the way, I had to educate my regional guy. Acts 10, God shows no partiality. Or the old people say, God is no respecter of man. But God shows no partiality. That guy.
So how do you speak into that? Because so it's interesting, you just said that God shows no partiality, and there's this idea you and I are talking about here where we take a certain angle on this. I just posted something today highlighting that Otis Moss cross and lynching tree. He does a requiem in the aftermath of Ahmaud Arbery, really calling forth what you have told me about what black folks do with white religion, with Christianity. And for me, the bottom line is that God does indeed pick a side, if you will. God shows up with those oppressed is one word, but on the underside of man's ego-filled power, what we call power, God aligns in a certain spot.
Absolutely. But I would say that's irrespective. I don't even know if that's a word.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what we call race.
Certainly.
Certainly. God's on the side of justice. Certainly. God's on the side of the poor. Certainly. God's on the side of the oppressed. Do I violate that? Am I poor? No.
Yes.
But God repeatedly in Scripture sides with those without.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's a message that's broad. But if you share that, at least in the white evangelical circles I hung out with, no,
Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on a second.
What you sounds like what you're saying, Nathan, is that that sounds something like liberation theology. So missing the point.
Yeah.
Wait, oh, you're sounds like you're talking about this that we touched on in seminary.
Yes.
Missing the point. Or my pastor in the PCA said to me, Nathan, I know your people have suffered, but Dr. King's theology was heretical. So dismissing the whole experience for this notion of truth that's a bastardization of the Christian gospel.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
Hold on just a second. My son is just, buddy, I don't know where your charger is, sweet boy. Sweet boy. I think, yes, son, I really don't know where it is. I love you. I see you've got tears, but we shouldn't be on the computer right now anyway, son. Can you just wait for mommy and sissy to get up? Buddy, I can't help you right now. I'm right in the middle of a meeting with my dear friend.
Sissy waked up, but she's like not talking to anybody.
I don't know where it is, son. Look behind the couch. Look behind mommy's blue chair. Look over in the dining room area underneath that picture. No, look in the dining room area because I think it might be over there. Look in the dining room area underneath in the corner over there by mommy's red. That's all I got, son. I'll be down in a little while. I promise.
Like in 1 hour?
No, around 9 o'clock I'll come check in with you guys. I love you, buddy.
How old's your child?
What's that?
How old's your child?
How was mine?
How old is your child?
Oh, Nate Dogg right there is 7 years old, man. He just ended first.
So my 19-year-old requires the same amount of attention as your 7-year-old.
Oh yeah.
But I get a break this weekend. Mom has her this weekend.
Okay.
And it's great. I mean, I love playing the role. I mean, we get up, we do PT, we make her bed. Yeah. Come back from PT, personal hygiene. It's like a total military structure, and I got to do it every day. Yes. It's nice to have a break from that.
Yes.
And then when I'm talking about furloughing employees and stuff like that. She's like, look at this picture.
Oh man. So we left with you talking about building an organization.
I felt cheated, man. I felt cheated. I'm mad about it. Wasted all those time trying to articulate messages that fit their paradigm, trying to approach the text, understand the text in a way that would please their parameters, their hoops. Yeah. And I realized that's not at all necessary. And I just feel as though I wasted so much time doing that, so much energy. So
so struck on something. So I have a couple different thoughts that come up when you say that. One, at least in my life, I try to embrace all of it. The good and bad, and be like, okay, somehow, me too, because I'm with you on the me too, right? You know me as well. Yeah. Having spent a lot of time in the halls of academia and education, got all my little diplomas and done my assimilating appropriately, and now feel a bit like I may need to recalibrate that a little bit. But those adjustments and reprioritizations feel lifelong and just a part of the journey. And if I can take all of what I've learned from that, as short-sighted perhaps at times,
sure.
Developed, you know what I mean?
You learn something from everybody, right? So, I mean, no matter what I do theologically, I'm still influenced by the Reformed tradition. I still identify myself of the Reformed tradition. I might add the word Black Reform. Yeah. That might be more accurate. Black Reform liturgical, if you want to be more descriptive. Yeah, I'm a product of all that. So when I thought about converting to Orthodoxy, Eastern Orthodoxy, and they said, nothing added, nothing will, my Reform lens kicked in and said, that's not humanly possible. Yeah.
Nothing what?
Nothing added to the tradition, nothing taken away.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, I might have said it wrong, but that's correct right there. They say they haven't added anything to the tradition, nor have they taken anything away. And as a Reformed guy, that's humanly impossible.
Yeah.
Sin's going to mess up stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, I'm definitely
Yeah.
a product of the Reformed tradition. Absolutely.
So you said something that also rang for me a minute ago. You said, I'm building a mixed church with black theology and maybe not calling it that.
Yeah.
How are you doing that? Because I know you've had even black folk come through those spaces that, you know, your roots classes or your membership classes say, you know, there's a lot of white folk around here. How do you? And sometimes you know, speaking of the good brother Reverend Dr. J. Lee, you know, as I've been in majority white spaces with the faith folk that I often am with, thinking, what's next here? How should we do this? I've been like, man, maybe I should just invite all these folks to come sit down in Jay Lee's pews. I don't know if Jay Lee wants me to do that. You know what I'm saying? I haven't asked him.
Yeah.
But you know, so for you,
I mean, some people aren't going to get it, but I think by most of my sermons quote a song from the 70s. Yeah. So this week I quote Marvin Gaye. Yeah. Don't beat me up with brutality. Yeah. The songs, by and large, are Motown songs. The songs quoted are spirituals. Yeah. Now, I might not say, hey, this is a liberationist song that fits here. I just say, hey, I'm quoting a song. So that's what I mean. Now, some people miss all that, and they just look at the people and say, hey, this is not, when they say they want a black church, they're not talking about the theology. They're talking about they want to see nothing but black people because we need some refuge. We need some sanctuary.
So how do you feel about, so I'm curious about how you do that though. So if at this spot in your life, you recognize a preference or a certain kind of even agitation, frustration with the belonging piece, and
I'm happy about it.
And do all this, and you're now like, I'm overall doing that, but I got all these people where I got to stand in between.
So for me, it's not either or. I mean, so to me, I'm preaching the gospel. Yeah. Now, my PCA brother down the street might say, I'm not, or I'm soft pedaling, or I'm manipulating it. Yeah. But to me, I'm preaching the gospel. God's people are responding in a mixed way. His church, where he's convinced he's preaching the gospel, they ain't mixed. So Revelation 7:9, all tribes, all people, come on, I'm with that, man. I'm with that. But I'm not going to compromise who I am. Now, speaking to you, I might use the word black more, but I might use it less in those circles, but I'm still going to be who I am. So it's different. It's different because it's not how maybe Jeremiah Wright would do it.
Yes. Ooh, I like that both andedness. I wrote down all people, yes. All me, yes. So this, you know, I will sometimes say finding the universal in the particular.
I don't think it's inconsistent.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
Now there's people there's people in the church who would say it's not consistent because of what they see. But to me, that's not an inconsistency. Mm-hmm. Particularly if you believe race as a construct. I don't know how I feel about that, but academics tell me that.
Oh, I'm with it. I mean, you know, you're talking to someone that is an actual in-betweener. You know, I am like an amalgamation. I am the intersection of like the embodiment of this.
Man.
So, you know,
incarnational.
You know what I mean? So I'm with.
Man, I'm not mad at Dad, man. I've been to Ireland, bro.
You know, they got some soul in there, man. They've been oppressed.
I told you about Sir, right? Like my driver in Ireland, I called him Sir. He said, "Don't call me Sir." The British made us call them Sir.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Yes. You know what? Roar just came out with something referencing the moan. Ooh, I don't know that I can touch it, man. I had someone kind of try to paraphrase it to me. I haven't read it myself. And him, I think the way I received it is he's essentially trying to coax folk into that moan that black folk have had to reckon with in their existence through chattel slavery till now, that has touched them down on spirituality.
Go ahead, Richard.
Ooh, yeah. And so he's inviting us collectively into moaning together over lamenting together. And you know, I used to, I recognize that, right? Like the Irish's gravitation towards the blues and a certain ability to kind of get that lament, that kind of black lament thing. There's something in there. I think I've held myself. So to the extent that I had any kind of wrestling with my white mama, whitest of white mamas, Lily, like Annie White, curly red hair.
They ain't got no sun up there, man. It stays daylight for a long time, but they ain't got no sun.
Yeah. So, but I've always set her a little bit apart from the standard American issue white person because of her deep Irish roots, like right off the land, So I've kind of placed myself over here with these other oppressed folks, to make my whiteness special too. So anyhow, so then, as I myself trying to envision what could the next step looks like, or where are we going from here, and listening to you standing in the middle of this congregation, this with your particular blackness and their amalgam of all tribes, and trying to craft a way forward. Yeah, what do you have kind of intentionality about that as you watch your congregation develop, or you just
I know everybody talks about strategy and growth plans, 5-year plans.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, one lady said, "You don't preach like you used to." I said, "Well, can a man change? Can a man grow? I mean, when you first met me preaching, I was starving.
Oh, yes.
I came up here trying to get a job, but I've gone through some things since then. I've been exposed to contemplative things. I went to Ireland to follow the steps of Patrick, Bridget, and Columba. I've had a lot of development since I arrived in 2012. That's
so what does she mean? What does she mean when she says that?
So I came in more fitting of a stereotypical Black preacher, bringing it at the end. And but since then, I've dabbled on Eastern Orthodoxy. I've dabbled in more contemplative traditions. I had that trip to Ireland. In Scotland.
Oh, that's it.
Affected me. I mean, there were moments in Scotland where I thought, this is not this weather. I'm African. This is not me. This the theology that emerged out of this is not me. Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff to take from it.
Yeah. Wow.
There's some pale sisters over there in Ireland. They got no sun. But one day I ordered a half pint. Yeah. I said I only could take a half pint. Irish sister put her hand on me. She said, "That's okay." They're just nice, man. Just nice. I could see Dad back when he was dapper talking about, let's see how nice, You can see that. I can see it. I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
Oh, that's funny. So
have you been?
I have, a couple times. Okay. Yeah. I haven't been in a while. It's been a little while, but yeah, we got family. You know what I mean? Down
in the south or in the north? In the south or in the north?
So my mother's from Port Leash, County Leash, smack dead center. So you say that to people from Ireland, they kind of go, "Oh, okay." It's like saying you're from Bakersfield.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, or something. Yeah. And if you're from Cali, and people dig Cali, but then you tell them you're from Bakersfield, "Oh, okay." I don't really know what's there. It's like a rock quarry town, center of the country. None of these coastal, beautiful places like Kent or.
Does she still speak Gaelic or no? They call it Irish now. Does she speak Irish at all?
Nelaine Tinton more to Tinton Fane.
Okay. Okay.
That's me trying to show off my little piece of Gaelic the only one that I got,
It's disappearing, man. The only people that speak are the politicians.
Yeah.
Or when the women didn't want me to know what they were saying, they'd slip into it. And they learn it in schools now. They learn it in schools. They don't want it to disappear. Yeah. All the signs are bilingual. And if you run for office, you got to be able to demonstrate you can throw it.
Yes. Yeah. So she the same, kind of grew up parochial, had it taught to her, but she doesn't, flip into it or anything. It's not like I grew up in a bilingual home by any means. Yeah.
That would be dope if you could speak Irish.
Well, other than that, yeah, I know that
would be dope, man. If we got off the plane, you and I walking together, and you're like,
I got a hello and a I got the standard. I'm better in Spanish than I am in Gaelic. Yeah. What was funny for me growing up was my dad was I don't know how you call it. I want to say Latin file or something. Always Telemundo was on in our house. He was always yakking to the cat at the taco stand or wherever he could flex his Spanish skills, man, it was so funny. I was always like, what is that about? You know? Um, uh,
Connection.
what's that?
It's connection.
Yeah. So I that
Like
was
when I'm riding down the street and I see someone with a Puerto Rican flag, I just, hey, baya, baya. My dad used to do that, but I just do it. Hey! Or if I see another in San Diego, I do. I wouldn't do it in Philly. My arm would get tired. I see a black person, they don't even know. I'm like straight out of the 70s.
Yeah.
I go, my man. And they're like, what? But most of the time people go, hey, bro. A lot of times people are like, what?
That's funny. That's why we resonate. My kids are always like that. Like, Dad, don't say anything. Dad, don't say anything. Dad, don't say anything. Dad, don't say anything. I'm always, the connection thing for me too.
And then, I try to do some Latin stuff and bring my daughter in a conversation. She gets really, really shy. She acts like she can't speak Spanish.
Yes.
And so I got to stop bringing her into conversation. I'm trying to bring that out in her. Yeah. Like my dad was. You want a bike? Okay, he would go to the hood, get some used bike.
Yeah. Wow. So what do you think about the San Diego thing, though? You think you're going to hang out, or what's up? Long term?
No, I don't think I can afford it. Mm-hmm. I think that once I retire, whenever that is, I'll have to leave. Yeah. I mean, I like the weather.
Yeah.
I like the weather. I like the sun. I like that I can swim outdoors year round. I like that I can kayak year round if I really want to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. Yeah. It's just that and then now with the divorce, I really don't think I can afford it.
Yeah. So then where is home? Where do you gravitate towards? What do you think about?
Well, I'm trying to go coastal. I still want to be on the coast. I might have to go on the coast of Maine somewhere.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to the Northwest, even though there's the red state folks have this movement called the Northwest option.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. If I stay on the coast, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
I just can't go inland. So the Northwest option, that concerns me. So I went up there to look during sabbatical and see how prevalent it is. I just don't think I could do Oregon. But I could do Washington State.
Yeah.
There's enough laws there to help me out.
Yeah.
Oh, don't think I could do Northern California. Yeah. So I don't know. There's so many unknowns.
Yeah.
If I were to get married south of the border, I might be stuck there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you're in this whole new territory, likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah. My goodness. What about how did you ever, when you come to town, black church man, and I know we've talked before about this tradition where people will go preach in each other's spot, who kind of do all this. How was that introduction, or what's been your exposure to kind of?
Yeah, so it's different. When I was younger, you would have all of these all the black churches have different events and stuff, but that kind of, by the time I got here, that was almost dead. And then we tried a few times and it was dead. That tradition's gone. Like meeting at 3, meeting at 6 with a black ecumenical kind of gathering. Yeah. It used to be a pain in the butt when I first started ministry. I used to be resentful. By the time I accepted it, it was gone from the culture.
Oh, wow.
And then I've gotten some invitations from Jay Lee. I preached in his revival a couple of times. But by and large, the black churches haven't embraced me. I've been invited to speak and then removed.
What's that about?
I don't know. And my guess, my head retreats to, okay, he's not black enough. Okay, whatever. Yeah. I don't. That's less work for me. So, that thing where all the black churches were doing these things together, that's gone. And there's a lot of people who still remember that and think it's still there and think, oh, Nathan's just not involved. It's just that it's not present in the same way it was in my initial years, my first 10 years, maybe. My last 15, 16, it's been gone from the culture.
Wow.
Every town had a black ministerial alliance, but the ones here, like Jay Lee and I are on one, it's very weak.
Really?
There's a couple others I'm not involved with. I don't see them doing huge things.
Yeah. So, we're hitting to the top of the hour here. I'm conscious of time a little bit. I always like having these conversations with you. One thing that one of my base notes is, what's, or favorite questions is what's most challenging in this moment and what's most supportive or hopeful, or what do you feel the most like juice?
Yeah, so the most challenging is the uncertainty in our culture, society. We don't know what's going on with the COVID. We don't know what's going on in racial relations. We're in a moment of, like, I can't assume, like, so my dad's generation, he could safely assume that things are going to get better for Black people, my mom's generation. So we're in this moment where we don't know what's going to happen. We got people in New Zealand marching, man. What? New Zealand? So it's just, there's so much uncertainty.
See, okay. See, I know I'm stopping you.
So when you're in your foxhole, when you're in your foxhole, you're assigned a lane to be you're responsible for. All I can watch is my lane. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
Generals deciding stuff far away from me. I just got to worry about who's in my lane.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be, hey, I can go talk to General, jump back in my foxhole. I'm not in that space right now. Right now, I'm just.
So what is your lane then? How do you feel? What do you feel about?
I do this church thing, raise my kid.
And then where's the most juice then, or joy, or any kind
of? The most joy is engaging the people at the regional level for my denomination. Because they act like race is a new topic, man. Here, we're 2021.
There's joy in that for you? There's joy there?
The engagement is joyful. It brings me life.
Oh, wow. Got it. Yeah. Wow.
Or they ask me, what do you think of this letter we're about to put out? Oh, yeah, well, I changed this and that. Yeah. Or last night, there's a lawyer, a Black lawyer that goes to the downtown church, our denomination. We're talking on the phone last night, mixing it up. He went to Howard Law, a very conservative guy. We're mixing it up, laughing at our differences, and laughing at our saying-this, and laughing at the regional governing body. Yeah. So that's my favorite thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what's your hope out of that then? So you being able to lean into those spaces and be
So I'm going to be on the committee that examines new candidates for ministry.
Oh, look at
that. And I get to say this to everyone. What Black theologians have you read? What Black authors have you read? Oh, I haven't read any that I can think of. Are you telling me that you are receiving a white supremacist education? I can't, that's how I come at it.
Oh my goodness.
I get to say that to everyone.
Yes.
Now I still do it a little bit. Did I tell you about my grandmother and the glass and the cake? So this young man, he's a good friend now, but this young man came to be examined in the presbytery, and he's talking about self-love, self-worship. And I said, my grandmother telling me stories about slavery days, putting broken glass in the master's cake, and the master getting sick, saying, "Oh, what's wrong?" And my grandmother's people saying, "Oh, I don't know. Was that an act of selfishness or was that an act of justice?" And I just ask questions like that. And I love it. I love it. The dude before that, old dude, man, he's in his 60s. He came up thinking slam dunk. I'm in my 60s. All these people know me. I said, hey, my dad and I just moved to the suburbs to an area near your church after the DC riots. How would you provide pastoral care? He was like, I played with blacks on the football team.
I want you to think a little deeper.
So there's only one candidate came in. She pushed back and nailed me hard, and everyone clapped. And I have respect for her. I hit her with an immigration thing. I said, your church is 10 miles from the border. What you going to do? And she had a great answer. And everyone clapped. And I felt like on one hand, the clap was, oh, you finally got Nathan. But on the other hand, I thought she did a good job.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, her answer was had depth. Yeah. So that just tells me I got to up my game.
Or that's all right. That's all you did what you were there to do.
Yeah, that's true too. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So what I do is you have to write a statement of faith, and I go through that thing with a fine tooth comb. Yeah. And then there it is. There's my entry.
Yes.
I go get them, man. It's like getting hyped for a football game. And then when I walk toward the mic, people are like, "Oh, what's he going to do now?"
Oh my goodness!
And I love it because it's amazing to me that they haven't read.
Yeah.
I got to read their theology and my theology.
Yeah.
They don't have to do that. They don't have that burden.
Yeah.
So,
hey, I appreciate you, man.
Are we gonna talk to Jay Lee?
Yeah, let's see if we can pull him up. Listen.